Hello everyone and welcome to the Monday Night Lights broadcast for week 2 where sans Bernie and RRtv again, so you're stuck with me trying to muddle my way through a broadcast based on a replay. Thanks to Chris Forbes for sending through his copy of the replay file. Being the muppet that I am, forgot mine. To save mine, that is, and I really appreciate Chris sending his through. Just taking a quick look at the standings for Monday Night Lights after week 1. Returning series champion Enzo Cantor took out the race last week, of course, with his compatriot Valerio Pianezza making a great debut race, finishing in second at Okayama, of course it was. Luke Whitten once again the leading local club member, with Luke Page making a welcome return to the series in 4th position. Ben Furhoff took out 5th position. Ben looks like he might even make a full season tilt this time, which would be great. He's a very, very strong driver, and he's really sort of cutting his teeth again in the skippies and putting on a great show. I thought I might take a quick look at the official standings after week 1. A little opportunity to take a look. David Buddha, who's yet to grace us here at Monday Night Lights, leading after week 1 at Okayama. Fantastic to see a local boy on top of the standings, albeit at a very early stage of the proceedings. Dakota Fripp, who joined us last week and the final week of last season for Monday Night Lights, sitting in 2nd. Again, returning official season champion Enzo Cantor sitting in 3rd place after week 1. Fahim Antoinides, apologies Fahim if I've got your surname incorrectly, sitting in 4th. Fahim was great. He joined us at the first round of the Australasian Super Skips a week or so back, was dominating until he had problems with his pit stop and taking on fuel, and that put him towards the rear. And Patrick Fliss in 5th position to kick us off. Now, I'm going to try and get these overlay stuff going. I'm apologising in advance because it doesn't work particularly well in replay. But we're at Barber Motorsports Park tonight, or last night. We had an outstanding turnout. As you can see from the name at the top of the grid. We had the strongest strength of field last night. For the week at 3,253, several hundred in front of the rest. I know it was a quiet week, but very pleasing from my perspective to have such a fantastic turnout in such a competitive race. With Ludwig Guidi taking out pole position in qualifying with a fantastic time. The track temps last night were relatively warm for this week at Barber Motorsports Park at 27 degrees, so a 35.5 around there under those conditions is fantastic. Ben Furhoff leading the local charge again, just 3 100ths behind Ludwig, which is a fantastic result. Stuart Vaughan, another international driver, just 2 1,000ths behind Ben. Chris Forbes kindly donating his replay, sitting in 4th position. Kevin Henderson in 5th. 6th was Colin Sooty. 7th was Valerio Pianezza, making his 2nd start for Monday Night Lights. Enzo Cantor, surprisingly, down in 8th. I think he got out of his sick bed to join us, so thanks for the support, Enzo. Bit short on practice, obviously, hence his poor starting position. Carlos Rodriguez Martin in 9th. 10th was Brian Holmes. 11th was yours truly, and the points at least off the grid. Samuel Collins in 12th. 13th was Mick Gray. 14th was Darryl Ridley. 15th, Brad Parkin. And 16th, Anthony Catt. Mick Gray and Darryl Ridley further down the grid than you would expect to see them normally. Mick's not always the strongest qualifier, but fantastic during the races generally. Darryl Ridley qualified 3rd, I think, at Okayama last week, so looking for a strong performance from him tonight. I am now going to roll the replay. I'm going to see if I can't get things kicked off as the cars in about 5 seconds will take the grid. I've kind of left all my time filling stuff to before the race has started, and then I'm going to restart this overlay and see if I can't get get the stuff that I need this time. This is about my 4th crack at doing this morning, I have to say. I've just had trouble getting everything running the way I want it. I might get rid of that flag. Excuse me, that frog coming to see me again. I'm hoping this helps me a bit more this time, because I've struggled getting my intervals and gaps and stuff to help me get through the race. Alright, why don't we focus up front? Oh, I don't want pit lane actually, I want that view if I can get it. Alright, that's probably the best view to start with. I think it was me taking my time to get on the grid, knowing that I'd be trying to call this morning. But we'll see how we go. Alright, I think everyone's on the grid now. Yep, the revs are rising, as Bernie says. And by the way, as they get underway just shortly, and they're away, I won't be able to do replays. Won't be able to do the instant replays as everyone gets away okay, because it just destroys the overlay software, and I just can't get back to the action. It was a clean start, of course. Ludwig Geedy just sort of leading from the front, as you can see there, and he's already starting to open up a little bit of a gap. 0.3 of a second at this stage as they come into the hairpin for the first time and move into the more challenging corkscrew section shortly. You can see it's a tight field at the front and throughout at this early stage. This corkscrew section through here, turns 7, 8 and 9 I think it is. Very challenging little section. A lot of fun to get right, of course, but everyone seemed to make their way through there pretty successfully early on. Just sitting with Darryl Ridley at the moment, back in 14th spot. You can see that everyone got away fairly strongly and cleanly. You see Enzo here reining up on the inside of Valerio and making a solid pass there through where he turns 12 and 13, but he ran wide there, costing himself some time. Not for the last time during the race, it has to be said. That lack of practice probably hurting him. And I can tell you throughout the field now, as we ride up with Kevin Henderson for the first time tonight, he moving up to Chris, who's making a move there through the first part of the lap on Ben Verhoeven, and Stuart Vaughan still in the running at this stage. Yeah, it was a tight race throughout. You see Chris run a bit wide there out of turn 2, I think, the turn 2-3 carousel. See Kevin Henderson looking up the outside now, through down to the hairpin for the second time. Chris holding the inside line there, managing to hold off Kevin for that point at least. As we see them ranging up, and Ludwig already got a great lead. We're only on lap 2 and he's out to 1.5 second lead. All this battling through the corkscrew here. Look at them all streaming down through there. What a great sight that is. You can see, look at this, all 2 and 3 wide up the back straight there into the turn 12-13 chicane. Whoa, big accident there. That looks like Valerio's night, potentially done and dusted. That was a big accident, and apologies, I can't bring you a replay because it just completely destroys where I'm at, and it unfortunately can't be done, and it stuffs up the results and everything, and I lose it from there on out. So I'm going to try and have to capture everything live, so to speak, without the benefit of replays. Ludwig Geedy at this stage, as you can see, he's cleared out. He's out to a 1.7 second lead. Stuart Vaughan and Ben Verhoeven having a big moment through the turn 2-3 carousel. That was coming for a while, and you can see Stuart Vaughan here. He's copped a bit of suspension damage there and is crabbing along, and unfortunately, if I recall correctly, that was the end of his competitive night, at least up the front. A real shame for Stuart. the battle raging here between Kevin Henderson and Chris Forbes at this stage as they head down to the corkscrew for the third time. Oh, very bold up there. I'd say it's tough to get two cars through there side by side, but they've done very well. Throughout the field, even down here with Anthony Catt, Mick Gray and Brad Park, and you can see there were battles throughout as Stuart Vaughan's still trying to limp his car around to the pits. You can see Mick now we're focused on here. Actually, I might stick up the driver name so we know who we're looking at. He's ranging up on the back of Brad Park, and Mick had an early off track which put him behind the 8-ball a little bit. But he's making a strong recovery drive as he tends to do very well. He's ranging up on the back of Brad Parker now as they head through the final two corners. Really need to get this last corner right to set yourself up for a good run into turn one. Bit of a straight here, a slight passing opportunity into turn one if you can get it right. Good fun either way. So we duck back up to a battle raging here between a pack of four. Enzo's got on the back of these guys. You've got Enzo and Colin battling with Chris Forbes and Kevin Henderson. Let's see if we can grab a different camera angle on that. See, it's tight there through the hairpin for this time round. I'm riding with Colin Sudi, as you can see. I think that driver thing's a bit annoying, if anything. I'll see if I can keep you informed of who we've got as I head into the corkscrew now. Looks like Enzo braking quite late there. Oh, rough ride there through for Chris. He's got the tail out. Oh, and a touch there from Kevin and Colin. You see Enzo taking full advantage, looking to go 3 wide into the turn 12-13 chicane. Kevin probably getting the best out of that. Chris unfortunately getting loose in the rear. Got the inside line here, but Enzo probably, he's sent himself off into the dirt there, and I'd suggest not for the last time. You can see me, I got a little touch there trying to avoid Enzo. Nothing too bad, but you might notice there I'll give myself a plug if I can. Where's the right one? Got the new Top Split livery on there. Those of you listening to this, make sure you head over to thetopsplit.com, check out the podcast and all the action there. Hopefully having a new episode out sometime early in the new year. Enough of the gratuitous plug, eh? We'll head back up to Samuel Collins, who's sitting on the back here of Colin Sudi and Chris Forbes. He's already up 6 positions for the race. Samuel qualified just behind me in 12th position as we see Colin have a look up the inside of Chris into the hairpin. Not this time, says Chris. Heading up to the front now, we've got Ludwig Geedy still out in first place. Obviously, he's now 3 seconds ahead of Ben Furhoff in second spot coming through the corkscrew. Ben Furhoff at this stage has a 4-second gap on Kevin Henderson, with what looks to be a lapped car in between. It looks like Valerio actually, who's been lapped there in between them. The pick of the battles probably at the moment being this one here with Samuel Collins, Colin Sudi and Chris Forbes battling hard here through the final series of corners. At this stage though, Brian Holmes and myself were having a pretty tight battle. Unfortunately, sometime in the near future Brian dropped out, but at this stage I can tell you I was just trying to hang on to the back of Enzo as best I could. I've never seen Enzo's rear bumper so closely. To be honest, he's normally miles ahead of me, so it was an interesting experience. I held on to him for longer than I thought I would actually, but obviously his lack of practice and illness had hampered him quite a bit. Ranging back here with Anthony Catt, you can see Mick Gray just ahead of him. Carlos putting pressure on Anthony right here. Mick Gray, as I said, he'd made his way past Anthony Catt by this stage and was starting to range up on the back of Darryl Ridley. They had a great battle throughout the race for the most part as Carlos looks up the inside there of Anthony, makes a nice pass through the hairpin. Well done, Carlos. Brian Holmes again putting pressure on me into the corkscrew. In your mirrors it looks a lot closer than it does on replay, I can tell you. Perhaps I'll switch to another view. Make more of it than it was. Back up the front, sitting in 5th position now is Colin Sooty in a tight battle with Chris Forbes and Kevin Henderson. Kevin already sporting a bit of rear wing damage at this stage. You can see Chris putting a lot of pressure on Kevin here. It's an interesting line through there. I struggled through that final series of corners there. It's where is it, turn 14, where you can range up on the inside through turn 15 here and into the final turn 16. Quite a challenging set. You can take multiple lines through there and get away with it. All of them, of course, adding up to different outcomes for different people. So they come up into turn 1 here. Nice tight pack, as you can see. Great racing early on in this race, and in fact throughout. Again, through turn 2, 3 carousel here, you can really take a different bunch of lines. Go wide through the turn 3 part and then tighten up through turn 2 and then tighten up through turn 3, or just hold it tight throughout, taking more defensive line equally as valid. And you can get a lot of advantage and disadvantage depending on how you go. Looks like we just lost Brian Holmes to the dreaded network monster. He was putting a lot of pressure on me, as we said. He might have been a touch quicker, but I was managing to hold him off at that stage. But unfortunately for him, he's lost connection at this point. We see Chris Forbes now putting a lot of pressure on Kevin Henderson, as once again they're coming into the final stages of their lap. I might grab this view a bit better so I know where we're at. Final stages, as I said. Chris Forbes putting strong pressure on Kevin here through the final 2 turns. Again, see Kevin taking the wider line, get a better run out, but Chris taking the narrower line probably compromised his run a bit there. And you see behind these two, Samuel Collins and Colin Sooty ranging really strongly behind them. Tight battle here, as you can see. It was pretty tight in a number of places around the field, actually. If I drop back here to Mick Gray, he and Darryl Ridley here are having a very good battle. They raced really strongly throughout in a tight pair, and you can see me just off in the distance there. I was trying to let them battle and hold a gap, so that hoping that they'd slow themselves down. Jumping up to Enzo now, as that battle up ahead through the hairpin is no doubt looking very enticing to him at this stage. You can see them going two wide here into the corkscrew for the next time, as I hop on board with Samuel just behind that pack. They've gone line astern through the corkscrew, obviously the recommended method to get through cleanly. This, of course, as they're trying to sort themselves out through that corkscrew, allows Enzo to get a nice clean run and ranging up on them all throughout. As they come into the 12-13 tunnel, as it's known, this little chicane here, riding that curb can be a good and bad thing, as you see both Samuel and Chris run wide there, compromising them a little bit, but we see the battle in front of them, Colin and Kevin, really heating up. Enzo still cutting time out of these guys, but this really was the battle of the race, running with this pack of 5 here, as we see Colin putting pressure again on Kevin through the first turn as they head into the turn 2-3 carousel. Quite a fun corner, trying to get the right point to put your foot on the gas to get the best run onto this straight, and hopefully as Colin looks up the inside, you get a good run and you're trying to get the pass done on the inside. Well done, Colin. I'll hop back to Kevin here. Actually, I'll hop back to Samuel. He looks to have fallen back a bit. Let's move back up to Chris. Oh, I'll tell you what, that's pretty interesting racing there from those two, isn't it, as they head through the corkscrew. Samuel coming back on the back of here. I'm riding with Chris Forbes at the moment. Great battle ensuing here, but look at here, look who's ranging up on the back again. It's Enzo Cantor after the early off. Just trying to catch up to these guys and make it a 5-way battle. What an interesting battle this is turning out to be. I was still behind these guys, but dropping further and further behind, I have to say. So you can see them come through the final couple of corners now. Look, all of them ranging out wide. Oh, Chris having a look on the inside there of Kevin, and Enzo all the while nipping at the heels of Samuel at this stage. Great driving and great battling. So head across the start-finish line with 7 laps to go. 4th gear, turn 1. Quite a challenging little corner. You drop it down 2 gears here into 2nd as Enzo grabs the inside line this time. Samuel probably running a little bit wide. See if I can hop on the gyro here, see what that looks like. Interesting battle here up ahead with Enzo diving deep under the inside there. That's how he got past me, actually. He braked very late there and did a good job of it. So we see this 5-way battle continue through the corkscrew with six and a half laps remaining. Great little series of corners there. You want to bump that first curb on the left and probably miss the second one on the right. Unsettles the car a bit much. You're flat in 4th through here if you can manage it. Little bump on the left. Swing it round to the right. Try not to run too wide because the ripple strips aren't very wide here. Drop it back down to 4th through the first part. Down to 3rd through the second. Not grabbing too much curb on the right because it unsettles the car. Enzo did a good job there. Sticking in 4th. Dropping down to 3rd. Running it out wide into 2nd. Oh, the back gets a bit excited there, Enzo, as he looks down the inside of the final corner. Not quite far enough. Chris holds him off for another lap as they head across the line with 6 to go. Quite exciting racing, I think you'll agree. And that's allowed Samuel to range right up back on the back of Enzo, sorry. See Kevin taking a wide line through the turn 2-3 carousel. That damage not looking to affect him too much at this stage. This battle again shaping up. It's been exciting racing throughout. So we have a look on Kevin taking a wider line through there, and he's crunched. Didn't look like much there, but that was enough to unfortunately end Colin's run. As you can see, he copped a lot of suspension damage. Unfortunately through there, it looked like a bit of netcode if I'm honest, but certainly unfortunate nonetheless. That left this as a 4-way battle. A 4-way battle now between Kevin Henderson, who's still carrying that damage of course, bit front and rear now by the looks. You've then got Chris Forbes sitting behind him with Enzo having a look up the inside here through the tunnel chicane. He's crisscrossed underneath him. That's a fantastic move, isn't it? To grab that position. That was a great move. Well done, Enzo. Haven't seen that one done before. Takes a lot of skill to do that from both drivers, I'd suggest. And Enzo now shaping up on Kevin to try and snaffle that final podium position, which would be a great effort. At this stage, I'm riding with Darryl Ridley. He's been passed by Mick Gray, who they'd had a great battle throughout to this point with 5 laps remaining. But Mick at this stage had gotten past. Anthony Catt here still sitting with Carlos Rodriguez Martin. They look to be having a good battle as well. As I return back up to Kevin and Enzo having a look up the inside of the hairpin. Looks to have made a clean pass there. Kevin looking to range up on the inside. What does that look like from the gyro? Oh, probably won't look better from the gyro. He holds him off through the corkscrew. Held the inside defensive line, and that's given Chris a good look up the inside as well. So that's cost Enzo a position there as he tries to make something of the draft there and regain that position. Big race. Oh, look at that. Chris is holding a strong, firm line there. Nothing wrong with that. Oh, dear. That's close racing, isn't it? It's allowing Kevin to skate away at the front. Look at that. Enzo's managed to get through that tunnel chicane again. As they come around to the final corner with 4 laps remaining. At this stage, of course, Ludwig is 6 seconds out in front, followed by Ben Furhoff in second place. Then we see our battle pack of 5, with Samuel Collins here sitting in 6th position. Chris right on the back of Chris Forbes at this stage, really putting a lot of pressure on there. I raced with Samuel last week, had a bit of damage. I think that was the only way I was able to keep up with him. We had an unfortunate coming together, but that's racing. He looks to be coming back bigger and stronger this week. Enzo now looking on the back of Kevin as they come into the corkscrew with 3.5 laps remaining. Quite a fun section to get right. Looks like Enzo pulled a bit on Kevin there, trying to bridge that gap and get back on the podium. This stage, this was again the pick of the battles, this 4. Don't know if I like that camera angle. This seems to be a really strong section for Enzo through the tunnel there. That chicane, that wide chicane there, as he comes into turn 15. Looks up the inside of Kevin there. No crisscross move. Oh, big touch. Big touch, and around Kevin goes. Tight racing there, but unfortunately ends in tears. Enzo now carrying a lot of damage, allowing Chris Forbes to go through. Samuel Collins didn't look to cop any damage in that incident. Excuse me. He's continuing on, and I'm now on the back of Kevin as a result of all that, and Mick's right behind me. I have a look up the inside here. Like I said, I don't think I was there. Kevin shut the door, but I don't think I was there, and that was me trying to limp my way around to the pits, unfortunately. Mick Gray now taking full advantage. He had a rough qualifying, a rough start to the race, but look at him here. He's up in 7th place. He's about to overtake the damaged Enzo by the looks. Enzo trying to limp his car around. Oh, I tell you what, that'd be scary moments for everyone, wouldn't it? Ooh, very close. Now Mick battling out with Kevin, whose car looks like it's been through the ringer. He's had, I think, half the field run into him this race, but he's battling on. He's doing well to get around as well as he is. Ludwig Guidi obviously set the fastest lap so far in this race at a 35 dead, 4/10 ahead of the nearest car with Ben Furhoff with a 35.4. So Ludwig really showing he was the class of this field on this occasion, really stretching out a strong lead. At this point he's out by 7 seconds from Ben Furhoff. This here looks to be the remaining battle for the race, with under 2 laps to go now. Might pop up to a slightly different view on this. Actually, how does the gyro look? Why don't we stick with gyro? Excuse my internal dialogue, folks. How's the ride through the corkscrew, hey? So you drop it down into first gear here, riding in probably a bit more of the curb than you'd like there. Not getting the cleanest exit as a result, and Kevin skipping away a bit even with all that damage. Looks like my 9-year-old painted that wing on the back of Kevin's car. I shouldn't be too critical, she's actually not bad with the paper and pen. as they come through the tunnel again for the penultimate time. Kevin getting the rear end of stepping the rear end of the car out nicely there and hanging on to it quite well. As they come into the second to last corner. Amazing to think that Kevin got this far with all that damage, with his car still drivable and somewhat competitive there in 5th place. As we head on to the last lap, we'll take a look up ahead at in a moment at Ludwig as he crosses the line, dropping down into second gear here. Look at Kevin getting a bit wide there. Oh, a bit of a touch sends Mick quite wide there. I do recall Kevin apologising at that point, saying he didn't have much control, which was obvious. His rear end stepped out in his battle-weary car. That allows Darryl Ridley, of course, to get up on the back of these two battling. Strong result for both Mick and Darryl. They're both up 7 positions, only surpassed by Anthony Catt, who's 3.5 seconds behind them. He's up 8 positions for the race, as is Samuel Collins, sitting in 4th position. So we watch Ludwig Geedy now take the final couple of corners. Final corner now, about to cross the line. Car number 1, pole position, fastest lap, and winner of the race. Well done, Ludwig. Ben Furhoff now coming across the line to take out 2nd spot. Fairway back now to Chris Forbes, who's done very well. Plate number 16, final entrant into the race. His I rating obviously belying his speed, crossing the line in 3rd place. Samuel Collins up 8 positions to take 4th. Kevin Henderson 5th. Mick Gray and Darryl Ridley crossing for 6th and 7th respectively. Anthony Catt home in 8th. Brad Parkin coming home for a well-deserved 9th. Stuart Vaughan in 10th. Carlos Rodriguez closely behind in 11th. Yours truly in the top split livery this week. Gotta love a green car, right? Car number 5, geez, what's that saying? Crossing the line in 12th. Enzo Cantor, unfortunately finishing in the pits and ending tonight's race in 14th position. On that note, how about I think at this stage I can check the results. And unfortunately they're not going to give me much by way of times or anything, but let's see how we go. Started as they finished for Ludwig and Ben in 1st and 2nd positions respectively. Chris Forbes gained a position through the race to finish in 3rd. Samuel Collins up 8 positions. Fantastic drive from Samuel into 4th. Kevin Henderson held station in 5th after plenty of action on track, you'd say, judging by that. Mick Gray into 6th position. He was up 7 positions off the grid, as was Darryl Ridley. Anthony Catt in 8th position. 9th, he was up 8 positions himself, actually. Brad Parkin in 9th, up 6 positions. 10th was Stuart Vaughan, who fought back after that early on-track incident. He unfortunately lost 7 positions, but still managed a top 10 result. Carlos Rodriguez Martin finished 11th after losing only 2 positions off the grid. Myself in 12th, and the final Monday Night Lights scoring position, down 1 spot off the grid. Valerio Pianezza, who unfortunately didn't have a stronger finish as last week for his 2nd showing in Monday Night Lights, finished in 13th. Enzo Cantor, getting out of his sickbed, had an action-packed race to finish in 14th. Colin Suti unfortunately had that coming together with Kevin and finished in 15th. And Brian Holmes, who I was having a fantastic battle with, unfortunately the network monster got him and he disconnected. So where does that leave us? Now, the one advantage, of course, that I do have, given that the race was last night, we can see the current standings. So after 2 weeks of Monday Night Lights, Ben Furhoff, after 2 solid results, jumps to the top of proceedings at the early stages on 55 points. Chris Forbes jumps to 2nd place another big leap after 2 weeks, or they expect a bit of movement in the early weeks. Kevin Henderson into third position, up 3 spots. Mick Gray in fourth, Brad Parkin in fifth. Leading the second split runners, we have Mark Jeffrey in sixth and Ken Hyams in seventh. Enzo Cantor, after no points this week, drops back to ninth from first position. Ludwig Guidi making a strong statement for his solo race, hopping into the top 10. And Valerio, again, not scoring any points this week, drops down to 10th. Both our Lukes, Page and Witten, didn't run this week, so they've dropped out of the top 10. Jumping across to the official Week 2 standings, once again, David Buddha, the local boy, on top of the global scene in the official standings, with Dakota Fripp and Enzo Cantor both holding station in second and third, respectively. Chris Malcolm jumps to fourth, and Carlos Villegas, apologies Carlos if I've mispronounced your name, jumping up to fifth position. Still very early stages, and participation, of course, not what you'd expect, or probably what you would expect over the Christmas period. And if you'll indulge me, I'll have a quick look at the Australian scene. If you can believe it, at this stage over the Christmas period, only 13 Australian New Zealand drivers have taken the track. Yours truly, having a bit of spare time, scored a few points, although this week I really was hoping to get some points out of Monday Lights. Was not to be, but it's not often I can say I'm ahead of Luke Witten on the scoreboard, so I'll take that and run with it. But that's where we're at in the ANZ club after 2 weeks. On that note, folks, I will sign off. Thank you for the drivers that turned out to make last night's race as fantastic as it was. As I said, the highest strength of field for the week in what is a pretty quiet week, admittedly, but certainly very personally satisfying for me to see such great support for the series, and what was a pretty exciting race to be a part of. Very pleased that whilst Bernie's away, we miss out on the broadcast, but very pleased for myself who gets a chance to race in it and try and improve my own skills. So thanks again to everyone for participating, and thanks for tuning in. I've been your host, Alex McKellar, signing off from Monday Night Lights.